Hello and welcome to the Quick Timeout with Sean Carroll. I'm Sean Carroll and this is the Quick Timeout. 2 weeks ago, Dante and I did a pod and we did an awards pod where we just run through, as it sounds in the name, went through every single award for the young NBA season. And the very last award that we did was the Rookie of the Year award because honestly, at the time, it was probably the least exciting out of all the awards. And after an hour and 20 minutes of recording, we just kind of wanted to wrap up the pod. So we briefly talked about Zach Ricochet, Bub Carrington, our picks, and a little bit of Zach Edey. But I feel like the conversation deserves a little bit more, especially, look, I was thinking about doing this a couple of days ago, but in let's say the span of a week, I think this conversation has gone even bigger than that, where it's no one's really talking about it, which is completely fair. But it's a heated all-rookie first-team debate. If anyone wants to have that debate, I would love to have that, but it's actually turning out to be one of the more exciting rookie races in recent memory. So just to expand on our conversation that Dante and I had, I won't be talking about the guys that we've already spoken about, but I'll just run through a couple of the names that have caught my eye as well as just the general eye of everyone because they're doing some things that need to be looked at. Just sort of expand on the Rookie of the Year race. There's actually a few really good names, and I started with the most obvious one, that's Jared McCain, the combo guard for the Philadelphia 76ers, who has stepped into a hole left by the three stars, Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, and Joel Embiid, and really just, I won't say put the team on his back because the team's still very bad at basketball, but Jared McCain, he's putting up 16.5 points per game, 2 rebounds, 2.7 assists on 47, 43, 97 shooting, and you talk about a small sample size, but this is like, the sample size is getting larger, and he's not the most athletic guy on the court, but he is honestly looking like one of the most skilled guys on the court. He had a huge 34-10 against a very, very serious, legitimate Cleveland Cavaliers defense, and then the following night or 2 nights later, he had 29 points against both LeBron James Sr. and Jr. You can learn more about that in a video, a vlog that he posted to his YouTube channel. But Jared McCain's usage, his heavy usage is definitely going to fall across the season, but Nick Nurse has turned to him as the starting 2 guard now that everyone is back, but that's got an asterisk because Joel Embiid doesn't play most games and Paul George keeps hyperextending something. Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain are starting in the backcourt, which I think is a definite defensive minus, but it's sort of like there's not many good players in Philly right now, so they have to do that. Jared McCain hit a massive shot down the end of a game recently, and he was running back on defense and then just said, "I'm the Rookie of the Year," which is, it got a little bit of vibes of Jackson Hayes saying that I deserve to be in the rookie sophomore game, but it's still like, what can you do when you're Jared McCain? Other recent games, he had 30 points, today against Brooklyn, 20, 20, 29, 34, 23, 27. They're his most recent 7 or 8 games there. He's a real player. So I'd say, I'll wrap it up at the end of the pod with who I think is winning. Next player that I've actually been watching quite a bit of the Detroit Pistons, which is something I haven't said for 3 or 4 years. And their key rookie was the 5th overall pick, which is Ron Holland. And Ron Holland might not be on an all-rookie team. He's definitely not in the conversation for Rookie of the Year, but he's actually been a really exciting watch. And so he was drafted 5th, and he came in as like a really raw, athletic prospect who a few people had as the number 1 pick because he had the ceiling to get that high. So far, it's been an underwhelming rookie year. He's averaging 6 points with 3 rebounds, 13% from 3. The shooting concerns are definitely there, and 58% from 2. I will note that has dropped 6% in the past week of basketball. He's shooting 84% from the free throw line, which is always a good sign. Check that. Yes, which is always a good sign for shooters. He missed those 2 free throws against the Milwaukee Bucks, who went on to lose in overtime. It's the sort of thing that is horrible for NBA players, but as a rookie, it's probably the best thing to happen for, like, if this happened to anyone that wasn't a rookie, you'd be like, wow, is this player going to go on and get the yips and then just struggle at the free throw line for the rest of their career? So I'm not worried about it. He's a good free throw shooter, which also bodes well for shooting progression moving forwards, because free throw percentage is always assigned for a good shooter. It means they've got a good base. It's just sort of more mental than it is process. But where he's impressed me is that he's like already a defensive plus. And JB Bickerstaff is using him as a defensive plus, and it's going to be really interesting with Armin Thompson coming back, which is, Asar Thompson, which is it's great that Asar Thompson's fully healthy and can play basketball, but JB Bickerstaff just won't be able to help himself, and he's going to play some Ron Holland and Asar Thompson lineups with them as the wings, and they're going to score somehow negative points because they are two of the worst shooters in the whole entire world. Let alone the league, and they're going to be sharing the court at the same time. But Ron Holland's just, he doesn't jump into passing lanes that sort of ruin his defensive positioning. He's using his size to actually get into the passing lane or maybe just pick the pockets. And I will admit, almost every point I've seen him make has been on a fast break after getting a steal or just running out. But it's really promising that he cares enough to be really good at defense. He cares enough to work really hard on the little things, and I might be damning this guy with fan praise, but I think it's promising. Ron Holland, like, let's check back in 2 years from now. He's a good free throw shooter, which is a good sign, and he's playing really hard on defense.
You want to talk WNBA? Maybe some WNBL? Australian Opals chat? Heck, even dabble in some EuroLeague? Find the W Basketball Show on the Deep 2 Podcast Network.
Next guy who I feel like the next few guys I should probably mention before Ron Holland, but I've just really enjoyed watching him. Steph Castle. Copy everything I said about Ron Holland and put it on Steph Castle, but Steph Castle's actually doing a better job at it. He's averaging through 17 games, 10.9 points, 2.6 rebounds, and 3.6 assists. 39% from the floor. What number does it start with? 3. 28% from 3. Again, this is just like a supercharged Ron Holland, 72% from the free throw line. He's had some very good games. Chris Paul is always going to be injured. He's 39 years old, so there's always going to be opportunities for Steph Castle to step up. And honestly, he has stepped up. Recent game logs, he had 22 points, 5 assists against the Lakers. That was 5 games ago. He had 19 3-3 with 1 steal against the Golden State Warriors, where he actually had a huge steal, a dunk, and a 3 to win the game. I think he tied the game, and then he ended up winning the game. He had a really nice game against Utah, where down the end of that game, he helped close out as well. San Antonio went on a really nice run to finish that game, and Steph Castle had this beautiful sort of step through where he split the 2 defenders, blitzing him in a pick and roll, and it just looks good. He's doing everything he's advertised to be. Like, he came in sort of, I would say, like Ron Holland. These guys have sample sizes of 15 games, but he came in as a guy who was just going to play defense and was going to be concerning on the offensive end. And he hasn't been good. He's been a bad rookie, but like, he hasn't been horrible. He's been passable. And the Spurs I said they wouldn't, but the Spurs have been winning games so far. And yes, early in the season, but you can't fault them, and he's good. I'm interested to see what happens when Jeremy Sohan returns, and everyone who's just slightly negative as a shooter for the San Antonio Spurs just gets a lot more glaring when next to another non-shooter. But it's a problem for the Spurs to figure out. Next player, Jalen Wells. Jalen Wells is a 6'7" wing. He's playing mostly at the 2 because he's skinny, but he's a 21-year-old 6'7" wing playing for the Memphis Grizzlies. And if that just doesn't scream Memphis Grizzlies basketball, then I don't know what does. On the season, he's averaging 12.5 points, 3 rebounds, 1.8 assists. He's shooting 45% from the floor and almost a flat 40 from the 3-point land. The land of plenty. Recent games... most recently against the Chicago Bulls, who are on a bit of a skid. He had 26 points with 6 assists, which is huge. But he's just one of those Memphis Grizzlies guys that they found before. I'll call it the Jake LaRavia era, where they traded away the D'Anthony Meltons of the world just to try and get find minutes for their next draft picks. They just didn't miss out. It seems like they missed on just a whole sort of 2 drafts there. But now they're back to that pre-Jake LaRavia era where, Jalen Wells looks like a really good basketball. He's 21 years old. He's playing serious minutes for a playoff team. The Memphis Grizzlies are one of the deeper teams in the league. If it wasn't for the Warriors, we'd probably be talking about how the Memphis Grizzlies are going incredibly deep as well. And when Jaren Jackson Jr. and when Ja Morant and when Desmond Bane and when Marcus Smart, when these guys definitely miss time, and they have missed time, the young players are stepping up. Jalen Wells, he's not. He's sort of got the Tobias Harris bug of the past couple of years, but in a good way, where it's like when he plays with Ja Morant and Desmond Bane, he's going to score 12 points. And when he plays without Ja Morant and Desmond Bane, he's also going to score 12 points. But from your 3-and-D rookie wing, who you've got under a rookie contract for the next 3 years on top of this one, that is beautiful. That is chef's kiss. Nearly half of his field goal attempts are threes, so he's clearly they're forcing him into this role, and he's done a good job. Speaking of over half your shots are threes, Dalton Knecht. I didn't want to mention this guy first, but I think it's probably worth mentioning that I will be putting Dalton Knecht's name into this podcast episode description because, as we know, he ticks every box. He's a white Lakers rookie who has had some big games, which is just a recipe for overhype. Like, look at the way people talked about Taylor Horton-Tucker, wrong, but then look at the way people talked about Alex Caruso, right. The Lakers have some hits and some misses, and it's looking more like Dalton Knecht is a hit. He's averaging 11.5 points a game. His shooting splits are 52, 45, and 93. When I put together this run sheet, all those numbers were lower, and he's only had exceptional games since then. The most notable game of note was the 37-point explosion against the lowly Utah Jazz, where he was 9 of 12 from the 3-point line. Obviously a bad team, but look, if you have 37, 5 and 5, there was some stat where it's like the first Lakers rookie since Kobe Bryant. It's very easy to cherry pick those stats, but he's honestly played well. He's honestly been a good starting wing. He reminds me a lot of Houston Rockets Trevor Ariza, which is one of the better role players you can get in the NBA basketball world. And I am saying that with an asterisk of, hey, let's just sort of wait a little bit because he is a white Lakers rookie and they do get overhyped, but pretty much copy-paste the stuff I wrote for Jalen Wells, where it's like, if you can hit threes and play fine enough defense as a rookie, that is incredible for your team and it's incredible for your future prospects and your future bank account. And yeah, Dalton Knecht, I love the nickname DK. DK is in a perfect situation where the Los Angeles Lakers have needed a 3-and-D wing to go alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis since they won a title, since they decided to absolutely excise their roster of 3-and-D wings. And they found one. So hopefully he can keep it up. Every single player I mentioned is going to hit the rookie wall. That is just simply a matter of time. And I wonder if any of these guys, whether it's like Jalen Wells or Dalton Knecht or maybe even Steph Castle, I wonder if these guys can perform in the playoffs. You always want to err on the side of no, but fucking let's see. Also, when I wrote this run sheet and DK's numbers were lower and he hadn't had the explosion against the Utah Jazz, I said he's just got second team all rookie written all over him, and then I wrote in brackets, put that on a shirt actually, but after a week I think he's actually got first team all rookie lock on him, and that is also with the white Lakers rookie halo. Isaiah Collier, excuse my typing, oh no, this is horrible, I'm not even going to delete this. Collier. I mainly put Isaiah Collier's name down there as just a note that I've spoken about him after 9 career games, because as the Utah Jazz, who are so dog shit bad right now, as they get worse and worse throughout the year, and holy crap, it's going to be very hard to watch Utah Jazz games in the future. They're already finding minutes for Brian Sensabaugh, and we haven't even seen like a Jordan Clarkson or Colin Sexton trade. So yeah, watch out for Isaiah Collier. He is shooting a lot of shots and he's not making them. Some of his recent field goal attempts and makes, we've got the most recent game, 11 minutes, 1 of 2. Game before, 24 minutes, 1 of 8. Game before, 20 minutes, 1 of 5. Then 2 of 4 and 3 of 3. Good on him. Yeah, God, why did I even mention Isaiah Collier? Just to wrap it up, a list of players who are performing well, but I haven't watched enough of them to make a comment. Donovan Clingan had 8 blocks the other day in a double-double, which, if he happened to get 2 more blocks, again, these arbitrary numbers that happen to have 2 digits. Once you get to 10, whatever, 8 blocks with like 10 and 11, that's incredible. I'm not watching enough Portland Trailblazers to make a real decision on whether I think he's actually been good, but it's good to see. Kyle Filipowski, already a must roster in fantasy basketball when you need stats on the last day of the week, so that means something, I guess. Also, Kyle Filipowski, the more we talk about him and the more we learn about his situation with his girlfriend before the draft, which is very, very interesting content. Yves Messi, apparently he's good, but I'm not watching Brandon Boston pick and rolls. There's always a better game on. Also, Yves Messi on the fucking injury report for the New Orleans Pelicans. How did the rookies get injured? Like, I understand you've got Pelican weeks and the Pelicans training staff that has changed hands plenty of times. Is obviously one of the worst in the league, but how it's what are they doing? And final guy, Jamal Sheed. He's a backup point guard for the 2-10 Raptors. Well, not 2-10 anymore. Apologies, that is from a week ago. But if that doesn't tickle your fancy, me either. Fun little fact: he was a college teammate of Marcus Sasser, and I watched Detroit versus Toronto a week ago, and I've watched a little bit of the Toronto Raptors since then. And Jamal Sheed, if you were having a basketball conversation with your colleagues or friends, and someone says, "Hey, has anyone been tickling your fancy?" Just say that Jamal Sheed looks a lot like Marcus Sasser, where it's like he comes in. It's sort of Monty Morris type, where it's like, wow, you're making the right decision. You're trying so hard. But God, it just sucks that you're so small. And when you're so small, if you're not Chris Paul or Steph Curry or like even Dennis Schroeder, it's really hard to find like a role in the league. And he's gonna get an opportunity to find a role in the league with plenty of time to play in the Toronto Raptors, who are struggling at the moment, struggling this season. But I wonder what his ceiling is. Like, the Detroit Pistons are struggling to find minutes for Marcus Sasser as they take steps towards being a respectable basketball team. So that is the exciting Rookie of the Year race. I picked Bub Carrington for the vibes pick, and I like him and I like his prospects down the end of the year with the Washington Wizards. Dante picked Zachary Ricochet, who's had some good games, and he will continue to have the odd good game, but then he'll continue to have the odd 6-point game. For Rookie of the Year, I can't remember the term. I wish I had a co-host right now, but it was a prisoner of the moment. Jared McCain looks good, but you have to assume full health, and when he's fully healthy, he's the fourth option. And when Nick Nurse goes, holy crap, we can't defend any guard right now, we need to put in defense for something, Tyrese Maxey isn't going to sit on the bench for a rookie Jared McCain. I think his numbers are going to go down. And then we've just got a whole bunch of guards and bigs who are averaging 12 points a game, some playing for bad teams, some playing for good teams. It's gonna be a tight race. It's gonna be a tight race. I would love to pick Steph Castle because he passes the eye test for popping the most, but his numbers are just so god-awful bad. Like, Jared McCain is also popping on the eye test, and he plays for a better basketball team, and his numbers are a million times better. They're going to fall down. Same for Dalton Knecht. Jalen Wells, unfortunately, will not get much run in this conversation because he's not a ball-dominant guy. He's spotting up. This is a really tight race. The winner at the moment is Jared McCain. Also, we haven't even talked about Alex Sarr, who will come on in the second half of the season. I truly believe that. But God, I entered this podcast wanting to pick Steph Castle, but I've talked myself out of it. Let's just TBD. Let's just not pick anyone. I don't have to. Anyway, thank you for listening. If you enjoy the pod, subscribe, tell a friend, blah blah, all that good stuff. Follow us on socials and make it a great day.
The Jeff Van Gundy Tribute Show is your fortnightly dose of the lighter side of basketball, hosted by me, Marco.
And me, Lucas. We take a more laid-back approach, talking about the NBA, the WNBA, FIBA basketball, culture, whatever tickles our fancy or grinds our gears.
The show is filled with great guests, classic gags, and a healthy dose of tangents in honour of the great man himself.
The Jeff Van Gundy Tribute Show, fortnightly on the Deep 2 Podcast Network.
Loves just talking about the league, certain things like that.